excited to bring you this live video today. I am going to be joined soon by Nikita, who is such an amazing woman. She's got a great story all about her hair loss struggles. She's actually been losing hair since she was only 17 years old. I don't know exactly how old she is right now, but she spent about 10 to 14 years trying to find a solution to her hair loss, and she now is a very proud topper and wig wearer. So I'm super excited to have her join me today, and we're going to be talking today about hair loss, about her hair loss story. And she's such an amazing woman. She lives in New Zealand, so we're in Australia here, she's in New Zealand, and she is a midwife, and she spent some time in Australia, so that's really exciting. So I'm just waiting for her little name to come up here so I can join her into the conversation. Yeah, and I think she's here now. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
So good. Thank you so much for having me.
We're so excited to chat with you. I gave a little bit of an intro, so we're going to just go into, I guess, like Nikita, like, you know, some of us have seen your videos, some of us have seen a little bit of your story, but most people wouldn't. So can you give us a little like origin story about your hair loss journey, and I guess when did it all begin? And I'm sure you've told it a few times before.
No worries. Yeah, I first noticed my hair was thinning when I was 17 and got diagnosed through a dermatologist then. And yeah, it was just a super emotional time because obviously being 17 is like hard enough as it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then obviously when you get into that diagnosis phase, they present you a lot of treatment options, and a lot of them are very expensive, which is really hard when you are not earning money.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you now, Nikita?
I'm 31.
Oh, you're 31. So you're a similar story to me, I guess, like from teens to like now in your 30s, been dealing with hair loss and trying to go through every single solution that is on Google, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Now we just have the elephant in the room. That is not your hair, is it? No.
Well, it's mine because I bought it.
It's yours because you did buy it. I love the bangs. It's so cool.
This is my hair under here, and then this is my gorgeous luster hair topper over the top.
So do you think that there was like a reason that your hair loss was triggered? Like, did you go through like a stressful, you don't have to go into detail, but did you go through like a stressful kind of event or period in your life, or did it just come on suddenly?
I had like a stressful period in my life when I was 14, so I did wonder when I was 17 if that was like linked somehow. And basically, you know, like I tried to find any kind of reversible cause and had all these theories, and I changed my contraceptive pill quite a few times because there is some thoughts out there that could be linked to contraceptive pills. So then I started taking one of the anti-androgenic pills that they often put people with polycystic ovaries on, which is like a similar hormone imbalance to alopecia, to see if that would help. But nothing like that helped, and all of the tests and everything that the dermatologist ordered basically came back normal for any other condition. And so in the absence of anything else, I was diagnosed with androgenic alopecia.
Yeah. Okay, so was that when you were 17 they gave you that diagnosis, or was that years later?
No, that was when I was 17, yeah. So they ordered, you know, like scalp biopsies and blood tests and all of that, and I did all of that, and then basically they said there's no other reason that we can find, so we're just diagnosing you with androgenic alopecia.
Yeah. Do your parents have fine hair as well?
No, which is why it's so frustrating, because, you know, they say all of that, but my mum's got like so much hair, and both my sisters have such thick hair. I mean, my dad has thinning hair now that he's in his late 50s, but I mean, what man in his late 50s doesn't have thinning hair?
I know. Yeah, so we're just talking, I know there'll be questions about what type of hair loss Nikita. So Nikita's got the same hair loss as I do. So it's got a lot of different names, this one. So some people call it androgenic or androgenetic alopecia, female pattern hair loss, diffuse hair thinning, like male pattern baldness. So it's basically similar to the male pattern baldness, but it thins out in a different pattern on women. So it's sort of like a diffuse overall thinning, whereas with men, it's normally, you know, the men with the like bald circle on the top. So so yeah, look, and it's not a fun activity to go through by any means. It's very stressful. And I just can emphasize with you so much because you were 17, I was 19, and like that's the time in your life where you're absolutely not thinking about hair loss. You're thinking about, you know, turning 18 and going out partying and like dressing up and sort of coming of age a little bit, and you know, like friendship dramas and boy dramas, not hair loss. Like that's definitely not on the menu for a 17-year-old who's probably finishing up school at that time. So yeah, it's definitely, but it's super common. But I just remember when I was going through it, there was no one that I knew who was exactly like me at my age. Like I was looking at much older women when I'd walk around, I'd be like, oh yeah, her hair's thin, but like she's, you know, when you're so young, it's like, oh, but she's like 30 or she's like 40 kind of thing. So yeah, so there weren't many people that looked like me at that age. And there was no like Instagram back then. So
yeah, for sure. I think that's the great thing now is that we have so much like access to, you know, Instagram, internet, where we can find other people that are like us. Whereas, you know, like you said, when we were diagnosed, it was just like, oh, okay, we've got something that only old people have.
Yeah. And I saw a comment about my hair loss has been worse since having a baby, which kind of links to your profession a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm a midwife, and yeah, it is very common for people to have like postpartum hair loss, just with the changes of hormones, that like sudden shedding of hair. Usually it does grow back. It's not usually like a permanent hair loss like androgenic alopecia or something like that. Usually it's just a you know, a period of time where those hormones are unbalanced, but that doesn't make it any less traumatic for people.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that's because sometimes during pregnancy your hair can get thicker and then it's maybe shedding what hair you grew, and then maybe a little bit more because of the stress of the whole like pregnancy? Like being pregnant, that's like a massive body. Body goes through a lot, so it makes sense why, you know, it'll deplete some hair, because it's like, oh, we don't need that, we need, you know, to give nutrients to everywhere else kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. No, people find that their hair often gets a lot better during pregnancy, which is sometimes short-lived, then that kind of falls out afterwards. But yeah, it's not always for everyone, and it's usually not straight afterwards either. It's usually like 4 or 8 months kind of down the track where people think they've avoided that, and then it happens later. So there's no way of knowing who it's going to happen to and who it's not going to happen to.
Yeah. So let's just go back to, like, you said you tried a lot of different treatments. So do you remember like some of the sort of non-medical, like I guess, medication treatments that you tried? Like for me, for example, I tried things like rosemary oil, or different concoctions of like oils blended together that I'd researched that are good for hair growth, or like silly things like, you know, putting egg in your hair or things like that. So did you go down any rabbit holes like this?
I did. When I first got diagnosed, my nana's actually a naturopath, so I tried a lot of natural stuff from her, and some of that kind of, I felt like it would work for a while, and then my hair loss would get worse again. So I'd go through periods where, like, for 6 months it might look better, and then all of a sudden I'd shed again. And so I did that kind of started things, and because nana's the naturopath, I've got lots of access to alternative practitioners. So I tried like acupuncture, I tried all sorts of things. I even had like past life regression where someone told me I'd been like burnt to death in a past life, and so my hair had all burnt off, and I was like reliving that trauma in this lifetime. So things got pretty kooky there for a while.
Oh my goodness. I actually never heard of that one. So I'm going to add that to our list of things.
Yeah.
Past life trauma
Yeah.
causing current life hair loss. Yeah.
Mm.
And what about like, did you ever use like minoxidil or like medications?
Yeah, so at the time when I was diagnosed when I was 17, I couldn't afford minoxidil, so they gave me a prescription. I thought it was just going to be like every other New Zealand medication. You take it to a pharmacy and it's $5 on a prescription. But I got to the counter and they said it was like $300
Wow.
for 6 months worth, and I was like, I don't have $300, so I walked out of the pharmacy in tears. And eventually, like when I was 21, I could afford that, and so I went back when I was working and tried minoxidil for like 6 months, and it just, my hair loss was getting worse faster than it was getting better, basically. And I got to the point where I was like, I have to just do something about it. Otherwise, you know, like it just isn't working fast enough. And because it's so labor intensive, at the time there was only the foams that you had to put into
Yeah.
onto your scalp every night. And at that point, I was at the point where I had noticeable hair loss. So I was using the powders to hide my hair loss, and I couldn't like put the powders in and then put the foam in because it would get all like clumpy. And yeah, it wasn't a long-term option. It just didn't work fast enough.
Yeah. Did you ever use like hair extensions or anything?
Nah, I didn't do hair extensions just because I knew like the length wasn't the issue. It was, you know, the trauma on the
Oh,
scalp. So I tried to keep my hair short so I wouldn't put pressure on my scalp.
yeah, yeah.
Because it still grew, like it still grew long. I never had any issue with it growing long. But you know, the shorter it was, the thicker it looked if I kept it like shoulder length.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you tried minoxidil. Was there anything else that you did like more medical sort of style?
No, because at the time they told me that the only other options were like spironolactone and
Yeah,
finasteride, and they said they wouldn't recommend them for people of childbearing
yeah,
age just
yeah.
because there's such huge risks with like, you know, birth, well, causing like, you know, problems with babies and things like that, congenital malformations. And I thought, you know, I don't know how long it's going to last in my body, and I'd like to have children, and I didn't want to risk anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the hard thing. It's like when you're so young, like even minoxidil, for example, like they say you can't be on it when you're pregnant or postpartum because of the same similar reasons. So it's sort of like you're in this situation where it's like I want to try it, but I don't want to like then have to go off it and then lose all the hair that I've gained from the minoxidil and then like go through trauma again, kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
with more hair loss.
Yeah.
What about
And
like,
it's such
yeah,
a,
go on, go on.
it's so hard, isn't it? Sorry, what were
No,
you
no, no,
saying?
go on, go on.
It's so hard, isn't it, though, because you know you're young and you're not thinking about like when do I want to have children or all that kind of stuff, and so you're forced to kind of make big decisions quite early, which is really tricky.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like when you're, you know, at that, like, you know, you're 20 kind of thing, and you're like just trying to work out, oh, yeah, what do I want to do with the rest of my life due to one medication that I have to go on? It's
Mm.
just like, it doesn't seem like a very, you know, easy thing to like fathom at that time. So, yeah, definitely. Was there any like other things you did? Like I use like, you know, the laser caps. Someone's been asking about PRP. Like I did PRP treatments, which just as a little that definitely did not work, except waste a lot of my money at the time. Like I was 25 or something. I just started in a full-time job teaching, and I was spending $3,000 to try and regrow my hair with my own blood. It's just like it's just
Wow.
crazy. Like the things that I've probably spent up to about 20 grand all up on treatments kind of thing. From
Yeah.
ranging from shampoos, vitamins, the laser caps, PRP, like dermatology appointments, trichology, like yeah, natural remedies, all of that. But yeah, crazy. It's just like we'd do anything to get our hair back. So
Yeah.
I guess there is sort of a light at the end of the tunnel for you. Like your hair hasn't come back, or is it sort of stabilized, or do you notice it getting worse like over the years, or what's your story now?
Still, yeah, it's still getting worse. I think it was stable for like a period of time, and then about 3 years ago, I decided to come off the pill completely to see if that would help, and then nothing changed. So I didn't get better or worse. And I've just noticed it's just like slowly kind of basically getting worse every year. Nothing I'm doing has kind of made any difference apart from that first time where I tried those natural medicines, and it kind of helped a little bit in the beginning, but that was when I was 17. Yeah, it's mainly like I tried, all the same stuff, the vitamins, the shampoos, all of that. I tried this like comb thing that was meant to cause like micro traumas on the scalp. It was like a derma roller.
Yeah.
It would like pierce your skin.
Yeah.
That was pretty awful. And then you'd put like, solutions on afterwards that would get straight into your bloodstream. And yeah, it's pretty hideous. But yeah, I think I just got to the point where I was like, it's never going to get any better. And now it's getting to the point where even with my hair powders and all of that, like it's obvious. There's no going back. I've got to make a decision if I'm just going to own it and shave my head, or if I'm going to start wearing alternative hair.
Yeah, yeah. And when did you first discover like alternate hair? Do you remember how you found out about it?
I think because I was searching so many hair loss kind of remedies, I started getting targeted ads for a few salons around Australia that were doing, making hair toppers. And because I'd never heard of a hair topper, I thought my option was to shave my head completely and wear a wig. When I started seeing hair toppers, I was like, okay, this is like a bit of a interim step. I can try one. If I don't like it, I haven't shaved my head, like no love lost kind of thing. So I started saving a few of these salons, to my Instagram, started following them and just watching them for a few years. And then eventually when I decided to take the plunge, I already had been watching a lot of different companies, and so I kind of had figured out which direction I wanted to go.
Yeah, yeah. And did you purchase something online, or did you go into a salon
I
for your first?
went into a salon.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first piece I was really nervous about. So I went into a salon, and the whole process it started off like phone calls. I sent pictures, videos of my hair, and then I had appointments in a salon. And the first appointment was just looking at my hair. Then I picked through some pieces, and then they custom kind of cut and colored to match my hair. And then I had another appointment where they showed me how to style it and showed me how to wash it and care for it and all that kind of stuff. So I think I think I was too nervous to do anything online without that. But now that I know what I'm doing, it was just like, okay, cool. I'm happy to buy online now because I know what I'm looking for.
And how did you go in terms of, like, I remember when I got my first hair piece, I just remember being petrified of the first day of wearing it, because it's like you've gone from thin, flat hair to like volume and hair. So when did you first wear was it a topper you got first, or a wig?
Yeah, a topper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wore it out of the salon that day when they first kind of cut and colored it for me, put it on, styled it. And I wore it out of the salon that day. And I'd flown to Adelaide on my own to get this piece. So I wasn't around anyone that knew me. And so the only people that were seeing me on the street were people that didn't know me from a bar of soap.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have known that I was any different. But I felt like I was walking around like self-conscious that people were looking at me, and when people did look at me, I was like, oh my god, my hair looks fake. Like, it was just, and because we're so used to that, when you have thin hair, every time people look at you, you think that they're looking at your hair for a bad reason. I felt so self-conscious for a week or so before I realized actually no one is looking at you like at all, and if they are, they're probably looking at you because you have nice hair, not because you have thin hair.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I felt. It's like I noticed people looking, but maybe they weren't looking at my hair. I was just so hyper focused on my hair and like now my topper, and I was just feeling like I had a rug on my head, and it was only this little tiny like topper at the time, like a little tiny one. So I was just, and now like I've got these like bigger pieces, but it's just, yeah, it's just crazy. And it's just, but once I think you get used to seeing yourself like that, then it sort of opens up a whole new world of like, okay, I'm good now. But it does take
Yeah.
a little bit of time to like ease into that first wearing experience, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And now, so now you wear all different kind of pieces. So I know you got your
Yeah.
fringe, your bangs piece in today, but your wig doesn't
Yeah.
have. Do people in your life know that you wear hair? Like, are you open
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah, most people know. Because I just moved back to New Zealand at the beginning of this year, and I'm back at uni full time, and I've started a new job. So my new colleagues and my new uni friends didn't know, and I just wear like different hair every day to uni, and people will be looking at me until the point like we're now 5 months into the program, and only last week someone said to me like, "How come you had a fringe yesterday and you don't have one today?"
I know, and then they can't understand. It's just like, oh no, it's, and even when you tell them, they still can't understand like what you mean
Yeah.
by a
Yeah.
hair topper or a piece, because they can't like visualize where it starts and where it ends, because it's just
Mm.
like such an unknown product. And that's why like no one literally, I've been wearing them now for 8 years, and no one's ever noticed that I've ever had a piece on. Someone asked, are you, where, I don't know if they're talking to you or me, but we're both wearing hair toppers right now. And that's the whole thing. It's like you have to ask us because you don't know, but we
Mm.
are. So they're just, the way that they're made now, they're just like, you know, really perfected, like really good technology and how they're sewn. Like our pieces, a very specific way of sitting. But yeah, the everyday like Bill and like Mandy are absolutely not going to know that you've got hair on. And even
Mm.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
know, like if I saw you, because it's got a fringe, like sometimes if someone's got one blended, like I can see it because I know what I'm looking for. And sometimes it's like, I'm pretty sure like she has a
Mm.
piece on. But yeah, so, but
Yeah.
everyone
But
else
that's
who,
it.
yeah, it's such
You have
an,
to look so close.
yeah, yeah, it's just such an unknown world, toppers and wigs.
Mm. Yeah. It's good. You know, given that over 50% of women are going to experience this at some point in their lives, like walking around telling people about this just means when someone close to them, you know, goes through that, they're going to say, "Oh, I met this girl, and you know, and she told me about hair toppers." So it's really, you know, they're going to know someone that's going to have this affect them at some point in their lives.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think like the more open you are about it, like you actually discover that most people you speak to have also had an experience with hair loss, or you know, they know someone who is and is looking for help, or like everyone knows someone who's gone through it. So it's absolutely super common, like despite the level, like mate, absolute. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I just cut out for a
Oh,
second there,
that's all
but I
right.
can now.
No, all our Instagram, so it's just cutting it out. But yeah, but I don't know if you feel comfortable to like take your topper off and show us how you put it on to end the
I
live.
could. I could. My hair is really dirty.
Look, we could both do it together. I've been to the gym today, but yeah, look, completely up to you, because I know I've got a lot of people on here like they think that that's your real hair at the moment,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
up to
I'm
you.
totally happy to do it. I think this has made me way lazier with washing my hair because I never have anyone to see it anymore.
Come on, Nikita, you could do
All
it.
right,
Let's have a look. So this is
we can
Nikita's
do this.
master topper, and this one we cut. Did you get the bangs adjusted yourself as well, or
I
is that
did.
okay?
It came with curtain bangs,
Yeah.
and then I very naughtily trimmed the fringe myself,
Oh,
and
did you cut the fringe yourself, Nikita?
I
Oh,
did.
you naughty,
Yeah. So
naughty
this is
girl.
my hair.
See, I would have never. That piece is like perfect on you. It's so good. And the best thing about a fringe and bangs is you literally don't have to blend anything together. Like it's just a
Yeah.
literally throw on and go. And they look so good on you.
Yeah,
Can you show us
yeah.
underneath? Because I know I've got a lot of new people on this live that don't know what a topper is. So this is the base here. So it's got clips all around. So it's sort of like a cross between a wig and hair extensions, a topper. And it's literally like you throw it on your head and clip it in, and your hair is literally done in 9 seconds, basically. You don't have to fuss over part lines and hair fibers and sprays and all of that. So yeah, so do you want to show us how you put it on?
Yeah, I'll just quickly
All right.
brush my hair.
Yeah, no, take your time, Nikita. We've got time. It's all
It's
good.
been up for all day. It's been I've been at uni all day. So the good thing about the ones with the bangs as well is you don't have to line it up with your part line. So my other pieces I do line up with my part line, but this one I just chuck it straight on and put that comb in here and then clip it in.
That color looks so good as well.
Yeah, it is. It's such a great match to my bio hair. And then just kind of brush it through just to blend it in with my hair.
Oh, it looks so good. Look, I do think the straight across bangs are much more convenient than curtain, because curtain bangs definitely you have to style them quite regularly to
Yeah.
get them to be curtain.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, that's as
It
easy as
looks
it
so
is.
good. I love it so much, your piece. I'm so glad
Me
that we
too.
yeah, it looks so good. Do you have any advice to finish up? Like, have you got any advice for someone watching this now, or lots of people watch it on the replay of maybe they're in there like the thick of like that despair of like hair loss and like not wanting to meet new people, not wanting to, some people like hold themselves back from maybe going for a promotion or thing because they're just feeling absolute like a shell of themselves. Like I just remember me being in that time. Like, is there any advice that you sort of have or could say to yourself when you were going through the thick of it?
I think, like you say all the time, people don't notice as much as you think they do, but also taking, just owning something takes the power away from it. So I think I felt really debilitated for a really long time because I didn't tell anyone, and so I felt like I was constantly having to hide things, whereas when I started being honest and open about it, I got really good feedback from people. One, like them saying I would never know, which was really nice to have that reinforcement, but two, also them just supporting you. And it's a process. Like you start one step at a time. You just tell people that you trust, and then you tell people slowly. And I think starting wearing something like hair is a really easy transition into that. Like to say, oh yeah, this isn't my real hair, or just I guess it's a good segue into that. But it's every step of the way is a new step in that process of acceptance, and I think when I first started wearing hair, it was really I was just focusing on rebuilding my own kind of identity, that everything else kind of went out the window for a little bit. And then when I moved back to New Zealand, I decided that I was going to start dating for the first time since wearing hair, and that I was going to tell people. Yeah, and I was like, this is going to be my year of hair, and I'm just going to tell everyone I come across, like, I have hair loss, I wear wigs, I wear hair toppers, and I set myself this challenge that I was going to go on all these dates, and I was going to tell people on my very first date, because at that point I wasn't invested in them at all. So if they had a terrible reaction, I didn't feel bad, but it gave me practice just disclosing to strangers.
We just stop there because I've got a whole series on dating on my podcast, and did you get any bad reactions to it?
Not outwardly bad reactions. I think I got a couple of people that just, obviously they're not going to be a dick to your face, but a couple of people that kind of ghosted me afterwards.
But
it could have been
I wouldn't have
unrelated.
known if it was because of the hair. Like, people are so flaky on like first dates,
Yeah,
regardless, kind of thing.
yeah, for Sure, it could have been anything. So I don't know. And like at that point, I didn't care. Like, but most of the time, people were really, really great about it, and it gave people a platform to be like, hey, I have like this thing that's I'm vulnerable about or whatever. So one of the people that I went on a date with, when I told him that, he was like, well, I actually like suffer from like HSV too, and I've never disclosed that to anyone face to face. I've always done that like on, via messenger or whatever, because I've never felt comfortable to do that. But you sharing this with me has made me feel like maybe I can share things like that with you face to face as well. So it gives people an invitation to be vulnerable about whatever they have going on in their life.
Yeah, definitely. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just keep getting phone calls. I'm so sorry. I should have turned to airplane mode. No, definitely. Like we think like things like, telling, I think what you said about when you become more open about it and more like, you're telling people openly, if they compliment your hair or ask about it, it's like, yeah, I wear, this isn't my hair, or just very casually like throwing it in, because it's also like the energy exchange as well. It's like if you're very down in the dumps about, oh, I started losing my hair when I was 17 and I tried this, like that, people don't, the general person absolutely does not have to know that. Yes, if you do end up meeting someone, then you can go into your story or with your close friends, but to people at work and like every day, like they absolutely don't need to know anything. And I think it's just like, yeah, I wear a hair piece and I love it. And as soon as I started just saying that to people, like you said, it lifted this whole weight, this whole burden off, and like this like secret that I was, protecting, so like fiercely guarding this secret no one can ever know about A, my hair loss, or B, the fact that I wear hair. And as soon as I sort of shed that, I felt more free to like just live, even though people didn't actually care. I think it was just like just getting that out. And I actually made a post about it on my personal Facebook. I'm like, hey guys, just because I was just like, I'm just going to tell everyone, no one's even going to look at my Facebook page, but at least like I've just put it out there. And you just get nothing but positive comments, and like, oh my God, me too. What's that topper? Like, I need that. My mom, this or that. Like, you just get all this positive feedback. And if anyone actually is negative, it's like, it's a them thing. It's absolutely not a you thing. And I haven't really had many negative experiences, to be honest. I don't think people care too much about me adding extra hair onto my head that they're going to have a negative reaction to it. Because people are always worried about their own problems. But yeah, I think
sure.
definitely being open about it and telling people is like the key to like mental freedom from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I do love the dating story. We'll probably have to come and do another one specifically about dating. So
yes, I'd love to.
Did you find anyone after all those dates, or it's still going?
Well, the irony is that I was thinking I'm going to do this year of dating, and I'm just going to have like to go like on one date a week for the whole year.
Like, yeah.
And it's going to be great. And then like literally, I think like on my 8th date, I like met someone and we've been dating for the last 3 months.
So this is just a recent.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you have to, we're going to do a podcast episode all about this. I feel like, yeah, it's like literally the same story as me, except, we haven't even settled on someone just yet, so we'll keep going for me. But anyway, Nikita, it was so good for you to come on. I had such a good time chatting and like learning more about your story. It was so great. I think this is the first time we've actually spoken face to face, maybe? No.
Yes, I know. I'm so excited. I was a little bit like shell shocked to meet you for the first time after designing my gorgeous hair for me.
Look, you've inspired me. I need to cut bangs into one of my toppers. I'm going to get that done this week, and I'll show you. I'll let you know. But it was so good to chat with you. And if you want to follow Nikita, I'll leave her handle in the comments. And you can go and check out her videos. She's got the perfect topper blend. So if you go through her account, it's just perfect. So thank you so much. And I'll speak to you soon, Nikita.
Thank Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye. Bye.